What you're about to see is me trying to pull out tiny dead twigs and needles from my shoes. They got in there while I was walking to my place for this shot. I had to do this a couple of times before they were all gone. While I was filming this, I forgot to do a clap or visual cue that would tell me where to sync the audio, so I just had to eyeball it. Hopefully, it still looks okay. Hello. Today we are at Koreimasa. Behind me is the Koreimasa Bridge, and we are near Tama River, which is honestly one of my favorite places in the world. It's just this really nice, scenic river walkway. There's a path that goes along it, under the bridge, near the bridge. And it's just somewhere I come when I have some free time and if I need something to think about, or if I need to go somewhere to think, or I'm just looking for a relaxing time, this is the spot, usually. This morning, my parents headed to the airport for a trip. They're going to be visiting my brother in college. And I had this whole plan to ride down with them to the airport and then record my way back and get some really cool shots of the scenery and the landscapes on the way back from the airport, because the airports here in Tokyo are kind of far out from the city. But there was a last minute change of plans. There wasn't enough space in the car for me to join. So I stayed back and I decided to come to this river, because some things just don't really go according to plan, and that's completely normal. And speaking of things not going according to plan, I thought today I'd talk a little bit more about what happened with my process of applying to college and then going to college for a semester and then deciding to take a gap year. And I have some notes here with me in case I forget anything. Yeah, there is a helicopter passing. I'm gonna wait for that to pass. Yeah, so hopefully the camera's still recording. I'm over here. The camera's far over there, as you guys can tell. But yeah, let me talk a little bit about the college application process. So, like most people my age and in my grade, I applied to college in my senior year. And then once I graduated, I went off to college, as a lot of people do. I ended up going to NYU for a semester. I went there for filmmaking. But pretty quickly I realized that it wasn't necessarily the right fit, and for, a collection of reasons, one of them including, money. I think NYU, as well as most college nowadays, at least in the United States, is ridiculously expensive. So for a bunch of reasons, I decided, okay, let's take a step back and let's do a gap year. Let's regroup, recuperate, and try again later, pretty much. And so I find myself here back in Tokyo, which is where I went to high school, towards the end of high school. Yeah, I've been here for about half a year since my gap year started. What else? Oh yeah, so I want to start kind of documenting this whole process of being on a gap year and reapplying to college and being a transfer student. And I'm making this whole video journal for one audience member, which is myself. Insert the Denis Villeneuve quote.
For the first time, I think I did this movie for a single audience member, which is me.
But similarly, I think it would be really cool if anybody who's in a similar position as me, like someone who's thinking of becoming a transfer student or transferring universities or is on a gap year, I think it'd be really cool if they came across this video and connected with it in some way. So that's another reason why I'm putting this out there. Obviously, I don't really know if it's going to get any traction, but ultimately, I'm just kind of excited to document this process. And I do want to talk a bit about how I want to format these videos. And so I will let that car pass. Yeah, and so as I talk about that, I will maybe head down the river and then we can discuss, the whole formatting of these videos, like series 1, which is currently what you guys are watching, and maybe down the road series 2 and series 3. So let's get to that. I hope the audio is okay. This is a quick shot of me trying to see if I could get down by the water to parkour on those little concrete blocks below the bridge. You could see me trying to find a way down, but I quickly realized that that is a bad idea. And then I continued with what I was doing. Hopefully this shot works. I am so sorry for the wind. Cool trains, right? So I've been living in Japan for a little over 3 years, and I've been coming to this river for probably over 2 years, but I've always walked in that direction, and this is actually the furthest I've been in this direction. I've always wanted to walk this way, but yeah, this is the first time I'm really venturing over here. So I thought I would talk a little bit about how I wanted to format this video journal series. One second, here's another train coming by. I know you can definitely hear that. Yeah, so as I was kind of drawing this whole thing up in my notebook, this video journal series, I thought I would split it into different, parts, different series. So maybe it's a bit ambitious, but I hope to be doing this for a little bit. I think it would be fun to see it through. But I thought I'd start off with this little introduction part, which is series 1. Basically, I'm just chilling in Tokyo and, figuring out this whole video series thing. And then I thought maybe series 2 could be in a few weeks. I'll be taking a trip to Singapore, and I'm going with family, and there will be some friends there. And so maybe it'd be cool to split that off into a different series. One second, another train. I really like this shot, but maybe it wasn't the most practical with all the noise. You can't see it, but there is a road behind me too. Anyway, let's keep going. But yeah, so I'll be in Singapore in a couple of weeks, which is Singapore is where I grew up before I moved to Tokyo. And that could maybe be series 2, or if not, it'll just be a part of series 1 as well. And then when I return from Singapore back here to Tokyo, I'll be taking part-time classes at Temple University Japan campus, and I thought maybe that could be series 3, my time as a part-time student in Temple. While I'm at Temple, I will have to begin my application as a transfer student, and obviously I've looked into other schools I'm interested in going to. I did visit a couple schools in October over in the States. I had a little week-long trip in the States visiting 2 schools. And in that process, I've found that there's only really one school I'm interested in and genuinely interested in and would really, like to go to, and I can see myself being there. And that is Rhode Island School of Design, RISD.
He's going to the Rhode Island School of Design.
Oh, that's a great school. Congratulations, Todd. That's really impressive. RISD.
And so that application is due in March. So while I'm at Temple, I will be filling out that application. And the reason I'm going to Temple in the first place is because I need more credits to qualify as a transfer student. I will talk more about that process later. I have a little infographic that I think would be interesting to implement into this vlog to explain the whole credit and transfer eligibility process. So I'll do that soon. So I thought the segment where I've submitted my application and I'm waiting to hear back from RISD, which is, the plan now. You never know what happens. Maybe I'll change my mind, but I'm pretty sure I won't actually. But that could be maybe series 4, waiting for my decision. And then I said in the last episode, if anybody watched it, that I saw this whole video journal series going up until I get back to school. But I am very well aware that there's a chance that I might not get into RISD. It's a very tough school to get into. Obviously, I will try my best, and I hope to get in, but who knows, you know? Maybe there's a chance I don't make it, which is totally understandable. And so I think Series 5 would refer to whatever happens after the decision. You know, it could split into a couple of directions. Series 5, you know, getting ready to go to RISD, going to RISD, or Series 5, not getting into RISD. And I think my general tentative plan, if I don't get into school next semester, is just remaining in Tokyo for a little bit. Who knows, maybe I'll enjoy going to Temple a lot and I'll continue going to Temple as a part-time student. Maybe I'll take more classes there. Or another idea I've had is, for about a year I've had this idea at the back of my head of doing this massive bike trip across Japan from the very top to the very bottom, which would take months. And I don't know, I know it's extreme, I know it's very ambitious. I am an ambitious person, as you could tell with this whole video journal thing, but it's something that I feel really excited about, the possibility of a bike trip like that. And I of course would want to record it as like maybe a mini series. I've had that idea in my head since before I even considered this kind of video journal. But yeah, so maybe Series 5 could be this bike trip. I do want to learn Japanese before I embark on it, which would take a while. But yeah, so I guess I'm saying there are a number of different directions that Series 5 could go in, and I will figure that out. But yeah, that's a little bit of insight into my plan for this video journal series. And I'm also trying to get a little more comfortable talking to the camera and being in this sort of, you know, situation. It's a bit awkward. The wind. I know I tense up a little bit when I'm talking to a camera. So hopefully I can get a little more comfortable with that. But I did mention that there's a bit of, it's a bit complicated being eligible as a transfer student. And as you guys know, I was only at college for one semester, which only gave me so many credits at school. So I thought I would fill you guys in a little more on the whole situation of being eligible as a transfer student at some institutions, some universities. I know every university is different, but of the few I've looked into, I can maybe provide a bit of insight on what it might look like to become or try to be a transfer student there. And I think in general it's, you know, similar for most institutions, not exactly the same, but you know, along the same guidelines. So maybe I'll do that in a future episode. But in the meantime, thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you guys next time. Let's get our camera back. I really hope the lighting was not bad.